If you're looking and seeking happiness, you're never going to find it. It's an internal thing. It's always something that has to start and stem from within, which is why your foundation and your core values are so important, because anything external is going to find a way to disappoint you, going to find a way to make you mad, going to find a way to make you cry, and it's going to find a way to just completely turn your world upside down.
Sarah Schroeder, welcome to the Entrepreneur Next Door.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for doing this. As I said to you before I hit record, I study my guests. I spent a long time. I took a couple of Dramamines because with that amount of energy, I need to stay focused because you're taking me on a roller coaster ride, and I got to be ready. So
there you go. Buckle up, Buttercup. Let's go.
I'm buckled up. I got that's fine. All right. So usually I ask my guests to introduce themselves, give them like a 60-second pitch. But I want to do this differently. I'll introduce you later, but I'd like you to introduce yourself, not in terms of what you do, but who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, go for it.
Okay. I am Sarah Schroeder. I am a believer. I am a dose of sunshine. I believe that we are all here for a reason and to create positive impact. And I love waking up every morning because there's just something that we're here for and meant to do. And I really believe that with my whole heart. And I just love helping people. I love spreading joy, receiving joy, giving, and having fun, and just bringing energy and working out. And I love reading and books and sunshine and coffee and Jesus and hanging out with people and having fun conversations and connecting. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I love to work. I love to work out. And I love just being around people that just fill my cup and that I can learn from on a daily basis.
Great. So as I said to you before, when I sent you the email, I said, I don't have any prescribed questions. I never share my questions with my guests anyway, because I want this to be free-flowing, intuitive conversation. I do have notes about studying you, but I want to go back to what you said, and we'll go back to your background later.
Sure.
When did you become that person you just described?
Mm.
Was there something in your life that got you that drove you to find this path, or you're an only child, I'm an only child, happy childhood, spoiled, don't know anything but happiness. So what got you to this point?
Yeah, I love that. I will say it's a combination of I've always had it in me, although I didn't recognize it until probably in the middle of and after college. But what got me right here, right now, is actually in the end of 22, beginning of 2023, where I had significant things happen to me that were not for anything but joyful, and they were a big deal. Just a lot of rejection, defeat, unworthiness, and feeling unlovable. And it became very apparent that I could either stay there and just wallow in that the rest of my life, or I could do something about it and get up and face these words that are just words and my feelings behind those words, and create and really accept and acknowledge and embrace who I am in this identity that I've always been. But it took all of that to get me to understand this is who I am and this is who I've been. And now I just accept that. And so that's why now I probably have as much energy as I do, because it's just been bottled up for so long. Like it came out in spurts, and now it's like it's a fire hose, because I think now it's like I can fully embrace that. So I think it's a combination of it's always been there, but I didn't recognize it recognize it fully until last year.
So everybody knows that this is a podcast about entrepreneurship, small business owners, And one of the things that distinguishes us, you're an entrepreneur, I'm one. I work with for the past 13 years, business owners. I'm a business
Mhm.
coach. You're a business coach. Um, Spent 30 years in the corporate world. But one of the things that distinguishes entrepreneurship, and I kind of use it interchangeably, small business and entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
um, it's a roller coaster ride. It starts with taking the leap and deciding you're going to be your own boss. And then it goes into an absolute panic attacks when things just don't work the way you thought they would work. And uh, and at some point we get beat up and then we stand up. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said it's just like I used to show my MBA students a movie, a short video of a kid learning how to walk, right? And they
Mhm.
go into standing position, wobble, and then fall, and then they take two steps and they fall, and then they take three steps and they fall, plant face, boom, straight up. It's sort of like entrepreneurship. So the reason I wanted you here, other than the fact that you are your own business owner with your fitness and coaching, um, there's a lot that we can learn from you because of what you represent. And what you represent, we're gonna peel the onion slowly. But
Yeah.
when I wrote the one sentence among many things you've said as I was studying you, um, you choose how you dot dot dot, right? That's that's your mantra. You can
Mhm.
choose how you wake up and how you conduct your day and how you deal with success and failure and unhappiness. That's who you are, and it's important for anyone who is a business owner, and honestly, anybody who's working in any position who are not happy with their career path or what they do. This is what it's about, right? It's
Mhm.
Sarah Schroeder's view and injection of sunshine into stuff that we all go through. So you went to school for English, undergrad and masters.
Mhm.
Um, you worked as a college professor, was teaching a bunch of kids how to write,
Mhm.
and then you discover fitness, kind of.
Kind of. I discovered and having a career in fitness. Prior to that, I had worked out and whatnot, but yeah, it was an outdoor fitness program of outdoor fitness franchise, and they were only in a very specific part of DFW, which was too far for me to go to. Once they started opening up more locations, I was able to. There was a location like we would locations were parks or schools or churches or strip malls or anything, wherever there was a parking lot, you could create a workout. So
Yeah.
I went and my first couple workouts, the trainers were like, "We love you. Are you interested? Go get certified. We would love for you to become a trainer with us." And I said, "Sure, absolutely. Okay." So I went and got certified, did that, and then I started trading with them, and it was incredible. It was like a piece that I never knew that was always a part of me.
So, for those who have not traveled many times through airports, DFW is the code word for Dallas Fort Worth Airport. So, you were talking about anywhere in the Dallas Fort Worth area, uh, in
Yes,
where these were
yes.
set up. Okay. Um, so I'm going to run through what you did. So you're a professor for 8 years. You owned the franchise uh, for 10 years. You were a personal trainer for 15. You're a life and business coach for 5 years. And recently you got involved with a company called First Fitness Nutrition to health
Hmm.
and supplement company, which makes sense if you're a fitness person because diets and what we put into our bodies is important. By the way, some of my best friends are fitness trainers. Uh, doesn't show any impact on me. They're just great people. And one of them, especially, is Becky Torres, who has been on my podcast. She's reminds me of you.
Oh,
Nonstop
awesome.
energy and absolutely crazy fitness enthusiast. crazy. I mean, crazy. Like from rock climbing to 30 miles mountain biking to waking up the next day and playing pickleball against me and going crazy.
I love it.
Um, so Sarah, you're an only child and I'm an only child.
Mhm.
Um, Tell me about that experience. So maybe we can share about that because not many people get this.
Yeah. People ask me like, "Did you ever want a brother or sister?" And I can't say yes because I don't know what that's like, right? I had a great childhood. I had a great upbringing. I was a daddy's girl, absolutely. And my mom and I got closer as I got older, but I was always a daddy's girl. Um, and with an only child, maybe like let's see if this relates. So, but when you're an only child, there's a lot of expectation that's put on you because you are the representative, right? You are the child. So, um, one thing for me was, like I had to be perfect in a sense, or in my mind, like I had to show up a certain way and be perfect. And if I made a mistake, that wasn't okay. That reflect, like Schroeder's don't make mistakes kind of thing. So I had I always got A's, and if I got a B, it was okay, but you got the A's. And my mom was very adamant about, like, I want you to go to school and get a degree. So like my job was school when I was, younger, whatnot. Like I worked during the summers. But other than that, it was like, like the job was school. And then if I played a sport kind of thing. So, that would, I guess because she just wanted me to be a strong, independent woman. Right. And so that's kind of how I grew up. I was very well taken care of, very good, but I put a lot of pressure on myself. And it could have been true also because, maybe my parents felt that pressure from the outside too, because my dad was like, comes from a family where they all excelled at, most of them excelled at sports and that kind of thing, or they excelled in school. So all of that was on me, right? Like to do well and be this like girl who's just like smart and able and independent kind of thing. So, but I loved being, and I'm still, my parents live 5 minutes away now. That was kind of accidental after they moved, the house that they found and they realized it was 5 minutes, but it is kind of awesome because I can go have coffee with them now. And I do every Thursday. I go to their house and have coffee and they still do their crosswords. So I call it coffee and crosswords Thursday. And it's nice because they're older now and to just be around them. It's my dad's birthday on Thursday. So we're all going to dinner and it's nice being close to them and having that ability to be near them.
So I asked that because, like you said, as an only child, our parents don't have anybody to compare to. Not that they do. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
anybody to compare yourself to because they're non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had a happy childhood. You had a happy childhood. It must have something to do with you finding the universe of sunshine because you didn't experience, maybe until later on, you didn't experience any traumatic childhood events and an abusive home and all the stuff that or divorce, all the stuff that people go through that impact their
Mm-hmm.
lives. All
Mm-hmm.
you knew was it was me and my parents and happiness, and I had a great childhood. And so that's the way it should be. Um, so if you had to define, I asked you to introduce yourself as who you are, but now let's talk about what you do. And again, this is not about promoting your coaching business or fitness, but it's really your impact on others in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the work that you do. So if you had to tell somebody this is what I do for a living, how would you describe it?
Yeah. I help business owners or entrepreneurs create more wins in their business and life.
Okay.
And yeah, that would
Okay.
be like a start.
So because you've been a fitness coach you still are, but you kind of transition a little bit more into the life/business coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But what's common in coaching is that you're dealing with human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they come with different traits and different personalities and different challenges. If it's fitness, well, what do you want to do? Well, I'd like to lose weight and I really want to get in shape. Okay, well, you're gonna have to work really hard to get there. It doesn't happen by you just talking about it. Uh, Same thing with business coaching. The business owners that we work with, yes, they are not adventurous, but they took the leap. They go through it. They took a risk. For many of them, there is no going back. This is what they have. This is what their future is dependent on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they have big egos, sometimes rightfully so, because they took the risk. So it's my
Mm-hmm.
company. Don't tell me how to run it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The smart ones actually just do the other thing. I know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. Or I know what I don't know. Any variations, I need a coach. Help me. But they're all human. And so
Mm-hmm.
to tell them to, I hate this cheesy thing, but I'll say it anyway, to make lemonade out of lemons, whatever that.
Yeah.
Um, it's okay when you sit with them during a coaching session and then they run off and go back to their old routines. So how do you, as a coach, get your clients or the people that are watching us and listening to us?
Mm-hmm.
There's no shortage of anything from coaches to YouTube to books to anything about life coaching and fitness and diet and exercise and all that stuff. We're
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed with information. What would you tell someone in terms of how do you actually get it done? Whether it's happiness, whether it's discipline to be fit, whether it's dealing with whatever's coming next, which you don't know.
Mm,
How
yeah.
do you train them to do it?
So what I do, I ask them one question always, and it's, what do you want? And their minds go crazy. Their eyes get wide and they're like, what do you mean? Like, I need more detail. I said, no, answer it however you want to. And they do. And so then we talk about that a little bit more. And then I ask them again, what do you actually want? Well, I told you I want freedom from finances. Okay, cool. What does that mean? Well, I want this, I want this. So I ask at least 5 times, what do you want? And on that fifth time, they actually get to the bulk of the matter, not just losing weight or not just making more money or not just having better relationships. And the point in that is they need to know what they want and where they are because they can't get to where they want if they don't know from where they're coming, right? So they can read all the books that they want, listen to all the podcasts that they want, and and hire a coach. But it isn't until they're willing to accept the truth about where they are without running away that they can actually start to make those changes in the habits to make a change, whether it is doing something to make more money or to become more fit or to become that. So they have to have that willingness because we can't, like another cliche phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I don't want to make them drink. That's not what I'm here to do. I want to show them here are numerous ways that you can take this drink or that you can do this thing. What's the one that's going to work best for you based around what you want and how much do you want that to get there? How
Mhm.
badly do you want to get there? Who do you actually want to become? Because if so, you're going to take that drink. There is no, well, I don't know if in or it's, I'm taking this drink, I'm going all in, and now you help me when those blind spots come in, when those limiting beliefs come in. Because a coach isn't there to be your friend, whether business or life coach. A coach is there to hold you to be accountable and to eliminate your excuses and to tell you when you're overthinking something or when you're thinking, like you're just making excuses. That's what coaches are there to help you do. They're here to help you improve and grow and encourage 100%. but they're also gonna like, you want to keep drinking this water. When that motivation goes away, here's other tactics that we can bring in so you're still drinking that water and it's not just the fun shiny thing that you're doing right now because everybody else is doing it. You're doing it because you want to, because you know what you want. You're living from your core values, not the core values set by other people, the ones that are set by you. The like the root of what you want and where you want to go, and we're going to water and fertilize that. But I will never, ever make anybody do anything. That's completely up to them.
Yeah, I think one of the things you said two things that were interesting. One, um, somebody wants freedom from finances. Usually, when you daggle the carrot in front of them of, okay, here's how you get there, what they actually want, which is the freedom finances, feeling better, typically masks some underlying, not failures, but underlying challenges that just they've been always ran away from.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'd like freedom from finance, but why? So the other piece you said was the why. We used to use this in the medical industry I was with for a long time in identifying quality control issues. And you can use this with kids too. It's called the five whys, where I think it was developed by the Toyota quality system. If somebody asks a question, why do you want freedom from finances? And then you say why, and give you an answer. And then after the answer, you ask why again and
Mm-hmm.
again. By the time you get to the fifth why, the actual root cause of the issue is now uncovered, or
Mm-hmm.
a bad habit, or something that sent them on the wrong path. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. It's like when you ask them, what do you want? I say, what do you mean, what do I want? I want to have all the money in the world and I want a new car. Okay, cut the crap. This is all materialistic stuff. Okay. At the end of the day, so you have the car outside and you live in a beautiful home, and then you're going into bed by yourself and you're miserable. Is that what you want? So, no, of course. Um, so as I was listening to you and studying you, and because we work with clients and we're coaches, um, a few times people ask me, what's the one lesson you learned after, in my case, coaching for 13 years almost? And I said, without a doubt, the lesson I learned, and it took a few years, was how to pick the right client.
Mm-hmm.
Because a good client, I would work 10 hours for them, unbeknownst to them, never getting paid for all these hours because I don't charge hourly anyway. But I was excited. I would make a difference because it was a great client, right? They were open, they're receptive, they did the homework, they were humble, they share things openly. We were able to really collaborate as partners.
Mm-hmm.
There were five that I got rid of that were just not a good fit. Why? Uh, because eventually I developed my mantra when I was having discovery calls with people that wanted to work with me. I said, look, I want to tell you based on my experience, I want to tell you something. I want to say this with a smile on my face. Please don't take it personally. But if you want to hire me to tell me what you want me to do, then don't waste my time and your money. Okay. But if you want to hire me to work with you, take what you know, take what I know, and then we do something great together,
Mm.
then humble yourself and it'll be great. So back to you, do you have experience? So what are the characteristics of a good client for you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, somebody who is willing to do the work, which may seem kind of obvious, and yet that's not obvious at all because a lot of people are excited to start, and then we have our first couple meetings and it's awesome, and yet they forget to fill out the evaluation at the end of the week, right? Like what worked well, what didn't work well, what can we do differently? And they're caught. We end up discussing the same things over and over and over in each meeting because they are not they're doing things but they're allowing distraction to get in the way. So a client who is distracted and tells me, "Oh, I actually didn't do this because of A, B, and C," is not somebody that I want to work with because I've been distracted about 800. I could have been distracted about 800 times today already, right? And I allowed a few of those distractions to come in, absolutely. But then I'm able to reel my, because I know what I want and I know what I want to accomplish today. I can reel myself out of that and say, okay, now we're here and this is what we're doing. Like I have a list over here of all the things that for clients, for myself, all this stuff. And um, and I know what to work on today. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I know what's important for today. Now, sometimes a client is like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what I want to do and it's in my calendar, and yet they still don't do it, which means they're not actually willing to change.
If it's an executive client, or in my case, a business owner, um, and you see that behavior comes up pretty quick, you give them a few
Hmm.
assignments, nothing complicated because they are running a business and you have to be conscious of
Right.
it, but they don't do something simple, right? And it's recurring, and now, as we used to say, it's not an event, it's a condition. And
Mm-hmm.
I would look and say, well, Sarah, you run a company. Yeah, if you told one of your employees to do something and they consistently didn't do it, is that acceptable? Oh, absolutely not. Why not? Well, because I pay them to do the work. And said, okay, well, you're paying me to do the work for you, and the same thing applies to you, right? So it's injecting a big dose of humility into their thinking that whatever title you have, uh, doesn't really matter, right? So when you're in a room with me or somebody's with you, we are equal. You're not a business owner. I mean, we're just equals. We're just working together to improve where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody, and I'll include this in my show notes, somebody actually went to your LinkedIn profile and your Facebook and your website, you're oozing happiness, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're down to earth. You look at the posts, your Happy Monday post, and what day it's a Friday post. It's um, what I love about you is showing up for who you are. You're not. It's not. You're not dressed up as a fitness trainer. You don't have makeup and teased up hair. You just turn the camera on and you talk, right? Which is what
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what people appreciate. Is that they don't want celebrities. They don't want made for TV, made for LinkedIn crap. They just want, and if you actually look at that things that I actually do, because I don't have that many interactions, people that get the most engagements on LinkedIn, it's very interesting. It's not about business. It's about, uh, I don't want to say it's become a Facebook style platform now, but there's a lot more personal, emotional posting and stories that people share.
Mm-hmm.
They relate them somewhat to what they do, or how, but this is what people react to. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and why? Because we're humans and we're connected emotionally, and there's no shortage of, okay, how you write the next email and how you use AI and all that stuff. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
craving a reminder that, you know what, Sarah's really not that different from me. But wait, she's happier than me. Why is she
Mm-hmm.
so happy? Okay. What is
Mm-hmm.
she doing? So, um, this is a quote that you said. I have this energy all the time, but I take care of myself. So I have a lot of this energy all the time. All right. Explain it to an 8-year old. Unpack this.
Yeah. As in I set boundaries, and which means, for instance, I went to a conference for 3 days last week and I was on for 3 days from the time it started 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, like with everything going on for 3 days. So it ended Friday at 5 and I dropped a friend off at the airport. And when I got home, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't turn my phone off, but it was just, I was on my couch and I was watching a show, and for like from Friday evening until I woke up to run Saturday morning, like I wasn't on LinkedIn. I wasn't on any social. I was decompressing and just allowing myself to, have that time where I can breathe and kind of relax and, uh, go over things in my mind, kind of just like pray and just say, man, this is like, I'm taking a step back. And that is extremely important. So every morning, like my morning is it's sacred for lack of a better word. Like when I wake up from, 4:45 to 5:30, like nobody, I don't care how many text messages I have, I never check my email, but it's first like prayer and journaling and all this stuff, and then I go work out. And so that for me is me honing into who I am and what I do and what I'm here to do. And I make sure that I do that not just in the mornings, but pockets throughout the day. Like after this, I am probably going to go just relax for a second and, maybe whatever it might be, like unload the
Mm.
dishwasher or just sit down and do nothing, quite honestly, and not, um, there's emails I need to answer. There's several text messages that I need to get to. And I could just go from one to the other, but then my mind is just overfilled and overwhelmed. And no wonder why you feel burned out or stressed or worried or anxious, or you're always hurrying. Like I am really, and there are days, there's a lot of days when I mess up, but I really try and make rest a part of it. So I can be me and be on and be like this.
Yeah, and people forget that this thing is it's almost like a car, right? I'm serious. There are times where
Yeah.
I'll sit and I did this last night. I don't know what made me do it. I was kind of thinking about my heart, and I said, we take it for granted, but that thing, thankfully, is constantly working. When it
Hmm.
stops working, it's game over, right?
Hmm.
We don't have to think about it. It's sort of like it's a car. It's going, but you can't drain the batteries.
Hmm.
And the way to recharge are mostly emotionally, but also a lot of times physically, is just disconnect, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
you said there's emails I have to answer, and I would say, no, you don't.
True.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's
1,000% true.
there's
Yeah.
always work, right? And just
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was listening to Guy Kawasaki, who's one of the people I admire in life, and he was working with somebody, and he told them, when you go to sleep, where's your cell phone? And he said, it's right next to my bed. And he said, don't leave it away from you. Don't
Hmm.
cut it off and just it's fine. Leave it. So he has uh, an office like a shed or a barn that's 100 feet away from you. So he went and put the phone there, and he goes back, and
Mm.
that's where he's at. But first thing in the morning, he was running to the barn, right? So it defeat the
Yeah.
purpose. Um, so no one's happy all the time, Sarah, right?
Hmm.
It's a tall order. No one's happy. Things happen.
Right.
What happens when you're down?
I let it out. Full disclosure, I was at the gym this morning and there's a few things going on, and I think I was storing it up just a little bit. And sometimes it just lets out like physically there was a move I was doing. It's called a bear complex. It's a CrossFit move. And I was doing it and I just couldn't. I've done it not a million times. I've done it a lot before. I just couldn't do it today. I couldn't do it, didn't want to do it. Something was going on in my brain and I just like something was releasing and I just had to tear up and cry a little bit and kind of let it go and let certain things out. And that helped so much. And a couple people after some of the girls were like, they didn't ask during, but they were like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I just needed to like, apparently I had some stuff that just needed to come out. And that was the time that it came out. So let it release through crying and not in public. That's not very often that I do it in public. It just came out as I was
Mm.
working out. But yeah, I mean, there's times when I have to talk myself into, being okay again, or just take or reach out for support. I have a couple really good friends that I will text and or call if something has popped up, you know, a human characteristic has hit me and I'm like, man, it's like inside of me and I need to get this out. So I have support too. Um, However, I will say it's like what you just said, right? One of my quotes, like, I can either choose to stay sad, angry, upset, emotional, jealous, egotistical, whatever it might be, but I can also choose what I do next. So I do think it is important to release. It does need to get out of your system via writing, via crying, via talking to somebody else. But then you have a choice. Am I going to marinate on this forever and ever and ever, or am I going to do something about it? And so I have different techniques that help me do something about it once I let it out. But 9 times out of 10, once I let it out, it does go right back to happy. But that's a habit that I learned
Mhm.
too. Releasing and then happiness, releasing and then happy. It's not just like oh, I'm crying. I feel so much better and there's nothing wrong with me anymore. No, now I know how to handle it moving forward. And when I can like sit and think about it more if I need to, or like what's the truth about it and what's fiction about it. My feelings a lot of the time are fiction because of subconscious patterns. That's all.
Yeah.
So this thought that I'm thinking, yeah, isn't necessarily, or this feeling based around a thought isn't hardly ever true. So what do I want to? How do I want to think about it differently? What do I want to do with this? How can I move forward? And then that's what I do is just move forward with it.
And I'm asking, and I asked the question because again, the people listening are business owners. You could be a solopreneur, which is just you, and then so if you're in a bad spot, you reach out to someone. But really, for people that run companies and have employees, um, there is nothing in the entrepreneurship manual, which doesn't exist, that says
Sure.
as a business owner, you have to be the toughest person around. You can't show any emotions. No, it's actually just the other way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
show the people you work with that you're human and you humble yourself, and if you have a bad day, I used to tell my team, you're entitled to a bad day. You're not entitled to bring it to work. And the reason why you're
Mm-hmm.
entitled to bring it to work is because um, you're going to take it out or you're going to become, it's not going to be fun to be sitting next to you or work with you. So take the day off, take a mental day off. Don't bring it to work. Don't take it on other people. Or if you bring it
Mm-hmm.
to work, then ask for help from someone. Okay. Say, hey, I'm having a bad day. This and this happened. Just talk it out. Sometimes talking it out. So because your mishappiness, I was thinking about this. And again, you and I are not therapists, but we're talking from a practical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Um, isn't it a dangerous loop where people feel they need to be happy all the time, right? A lot of times people you meet you and say, "Hey, how things going? Hey, are you happy? Are you happy?" So this maybe artificial requirement to be happy, and if you're not, something's wrong with you. But also the let's call it the happiness chase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, isn't that like a dangerous loop where uh, you can't be happy all the time. But if you're always looking to be happy, it's frustrating because life happens, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of nailed it right there. If you're looking and seeking for happiness, you're never going to find it.
Hmm.
It's an internal thing. It's always something that has to start and stem from within, which is why your foundation and your core values are so important because anything external is going to find a way to disappoint you, going to find a way to make you mad, going to find a way to make you cry, and it's going to find a way to just completely turn your world upside down. Think of case in point relationships. Pick a relationship that's not working, right? If you're constantly seeking outside, you're never going to find it. Once you realize it's an inside thing that you can work on and grow and build, now you're not seeking anything anymore. So the days where you are feeling kind of down, you can acknowledge it and acknowledge it from I'm feeling down for certain reasons, but it all stems back to, okay, I'm feeling down. Who on the outside has created this down feeling that I have? Like, where am I getting this information from? Like, who am I blaming externally? Because it's not ever an outside thing, it's an inside. Like, once you can fully just, and to be fair on that point, as long as you are alive, if you are a human, you are going to be pursuing your inner um happiness, if you will, not looking from without, but seeking from within. So whatever, however that applies to you, whether it's through God or the universe or spirit or whatever it might be, the thing you have to, like, once you take personal responsibility for your life, now it doesn't matter on a day that you are unhappy, because you can change that, because it's not somebody or something or someone else. It's not an external circumstance. It's you and your perception
Mm.
around it. It's how you're receiving what you're giving, and it's how you're receiving things and what you're doing with that.
So you just said something that I was going to bring up, but you nailed it. You said it's your own responsibility. Um, at least in my life, and I've seen it in other people and the people that I've coached. The one thing that happens to us in life that impacts us the most is a sense of helplessness, not being in control of what we do of our life, not what we do of our life, right? It happens during a divorce. You get a divorce and you get lawyers, and then the lawyers run to the judge, and then everything is in the hands of the judge and the lawyers, and it gets stretched and stretched, and you're tortured. I went through this. It was awful. That's where I had this epiphany that why did I feel so horrible other than the fact that my marriage didn't work out? It was the sense of helplessness that I couldn't move on because it wasn't up to me, right? I mean, you could say, well, you
Mm-hmm,
could go to mediation. No, that wasn't really an option. Okay. Um,
mm-hmm.
the same thing happens in other areas. And you said it, you take responsibility for your life, take control of those aspects in your life that impact you and fix it, take control of it. Right. And again, I'll mention his name because most people don't know him because I'm older, but I think I saw his name in one of your interviews or posts. Zig Ziglar is
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I was trained on the Zig Ziglar system 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant guy. One of my favorite quotes that he coined was, when you point fingers at someone, there are three fingers pointing back at you, right?
Uh-huh.
So if things don't go well and you start to point and blame the universe, don't forget, yeah, do a little inventory check and are you okay? Are you doing what you're supposed to before you start blaming other people? So I think I told you I was going to ask you that. So what's the deal with the 35 tattoo on the arm? If by the way, if you don't want to go there, that's fine. I'll edit it out.
Oh,
But if you're
no,
okay,
this is great. Yeah,
so
no. So when I turned 35, I ran 35 races in a year. So my birthday is April 5th. So April 5th to April 5th, 35 races. And because I had a friend who did it for her 30th birthday or something, and she did all 5K races. And I was like, I don't want to just do 5Ks. That would be boring. So I was like 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks, half marathons. I just ran it all. I did
hmm.
a CrossFit style competition. I did a stair climb. I just did 35 races in a year, which I am not a logistics person. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. And then I was like, oh, 35 races in 52 weeks is a lot. And I had to double up a lot of races. But what I did, I scheduled my last race first, and that was March. Gosh, March, at the end of March, 2019, in Napa with two of my best friends. So we all were going to run that together. That was race number 35, period, end of story. So I just had to get 34 races in prior to that. And that's a way that I like to do things with clients is, like, once you've got your vision and who you want to become, set that time frame and then work backwards with it. So yeah, so I did it and it was great. I loved it. And that was the first time I think that I recognized and followed through on, wow, you did this. And I posted on social media. So everybody was following me, right? Like, oh man, she's at race 16. She's at race
Mm.
23. Like it was a really special thing. So I knew right away, I was like, I need to get this tattoo. And that's my first tattoo. It's my only one right now. I'll probably get more. But yeah, that's the 35.
Okay, that's impressive. Okay, so another personal question. December 2023 car crash. What happened?
Mm-hmm. I was driving home on a two-lane highway, and it doesn't have lights or anything, or like it had lampposts, and I crashed into a cement guardrail, like crashed. The front of my car was gone, airbags, all the stuff. And I stepped out of the car. I had a look like I probably bruised, it was probably like had a bruised rib. But I was able to get out of that car completely fine. And that shouldn't have happened. There was no way I should have gotten out of that car um, without being hurt or injured in any way. That's how bad the crash was.
So kudos to the car company, which we won't give them free advertising. But what did that do?
Yeah.
What did that do to you? Like, so you're back home, car got towed, you finally get to bed, and now what are you thinking about? You just went through a major. I'm assuming you totaled the car.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It
Okay.
was
So
um I think that was the moment when I realized something needed to change with some of the habits that I was doing. And it was right after a breakup. It was like 5 days after a big breakup, a
mm,
shocking breakup. That's shocked everybody. And that's another story in and of itself. But I think that's when it was, that is the moment when I knew I'm supposed to be here for a little bit longer. And I needed to start changing some of the ways that I was thinking, some of the ways that I was behaving, and some of the ways that I was like what I was doing so that I could actually walk the talk, create the positive impact, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
mhm.
I mean,
It was a
experience like this is a wake up call, right? I mean, we
mhm,
just take too many things for granted anyway,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
We go into
mhm,
life routine. You go your thing. You get up at 4:30. You do your journaling. You do your prayer. And then and something happens that jolts your existence because hey, could have ended differently, right?
mhm,
So it's a
mhm,
completely different appreciation. Um,
mhm.
so this is another quote that you said that I really like. You start with where you are, and you have a choice, right? And I think it goes back to what we said before. When we say somebody has a choice, I think what we're telling them, you're in control of what happens to you. Okay.
Mhm.
Which brings up another topic, which is, you can see I'm going all over the place because I'm having fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you know John Page, right? Dr. John
Uh-huh,
Page? Because we're
uh-huh.
we're all somehow connected to Ashley Cuellar, who
Yep.
opened like a whole universe of really cool people that I have met in the last month.
Yeah.
Um, so John was my guest a couple of days ago on my podcast, and I gotta
Oh,
say
awesome.
I had I had the most fun with this guy. John Page,
That's
it's going to
awesome.
be released next week. John Page I asked him, what's the difference between a minister, a reverend, a priest? He said, well, we're all the same. So he's a religious man.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I have sort of like a personal but religious question to you.
Okay.
Because you mentioned Jesus a lot. So you're spiritual. You're connected to a higher being.
Uh-huh.
Um, was that an upbringing from home, or was it something that you grew into as you were getting older? And
Yeah.
how and
So,
how and how important is it? It's clearly important in your life because if you start your day with prayer and you might end your day with prayer, it's okay. But how important is it in your life and in terms of working with your clients? like something I said to John, I'm sure people tell you, "Hey, I'm not religious." Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
to me that statement means, and I say it all the time. I said to me that means I don't go to temple because I'm Jewish. I don't go to
Mm-hmm.
temple. I don't follow the rituals. But the Judaism piece is not rituals and not temple. It's in here and it's in here and it
Mm-hmm.
has its own meaning for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
how it obviously that's a big part of who you are, right?
Yeah. So I grew up, so I was baptized Catholic, but I went to Lutheran church with my dad growing up. And so I, went to church, was a believer, that kind of thing. And then, it was never, I don't think I ever really had a true relationship with God or Jesus or anything like that. He was just always there, but I was confused about a lot of things and didn't really know. That car crash, actually, from that car crash. And then, I had a big surgery a month and a half later. I had to have a hysterectomy because there was a lot of really bad things going on. And so I was pretty down and out about the breakup, the crash, that I was down and out. It was a lot for me to
Yeah.
comprehend. Again, like that's where the rejection, unworthiness, unlovable came in. And one day my friend was texting me and she said, "Hey, we just started this new series at church called the Hope Carrier series. If you want to check it out and you can tune in online." So I did, and it was exactly what I needed to hear because the Hope Carrier series was about your identity, about being loved, about being worthy, about your purpose, about relationships, and about like just uh, like your again purpose in the world. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, that this is like I felt as though God was speaking to me. So from that, I started to create and develop a relationship. And now it is a very important part to me because I see the transformation and the difference that happened with me in this new relationship and being a believer. And again, being who I am and understanding that love factor and that forgiveness factor was huge too. So it is a very huge part for me. I am happy to work with people who, might think a little bit differently. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter to me as long as they're okay with if I do say something, offer a Bible verse or say like talk about a story, like you were talking about the Zig Ziglar, the pointing. Well, there's a story like before you see the plank in your brother's eye, remove the plank from your own. I think it's in Matthew. So like there's if you don't mind that kind of interaction, then absolutely. I will say for those who are spiritual, again, and you nailed it. It's a heart thing. It's not, I'm not here to talk about religion at all, nor do I want to. I'm here to talk about a relationship and the relationship that you have. So those clients who do have that are able to like really magnify things even more because they're also building an ongoing relationship with them too.
Yeah, and again, I'm very resistant to organized religion because
Mm-hmm.
um, I think they manipulate and they brainwash and they want your money and they make you feel guilty. And I don't need that in the confines of a temple or a church or something else. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to me, Judaism is a way of life. It's not where I'm going to practice it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just my belief. Now you could go to church every Sunday and whatever. And I said to John, you guys have a great system for people who sin. I go to confession once a week. I let it out. You tell me 10 Hail Marys, off you go, and I can go restart my sins again. So it's a great
Mm-hmm.
system. Uh, Jews don't have that. We have one once a year coming up in a month or so where you don't eat the whole day and repent your sins, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
actually
Yeah.
uh, anyway. I'm just joking, but I'm saying it's
Yeah.
it's it's more of a look. It's a way of life, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
And
I
I
know,
agree with that fully because this is a way of life. And that's what you just mentioned is a very specific religion because confession and all that stuff isn't in everything at all. That's the Catholic religion, right?
yeah.
So this is a lifestyle and it's not I don't yes, I do attend church, but that it is not like I have to go to church and I have to do this. No, it's a relationship, which is why like the prayer for me, like that's a relationship. Like when you're in a relationship, you want to talk to that person. You want to get to know that person. You want to build trust and love and honor and all this stuff with that person. Well, that's the same thing for me, like with
Hmm.
God, right? Like, and so no matter what that is, like no religion can tell me how to do that because this is between God and I, right?
Yep.
And that's so, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it should be personal, and how you do it, it's
Hmm.
completely up to you. And if the benefit you gain from it is a relationship with a higher being, and that makes you a better person, whole, that's perfectly okay. So
Hmm.
we're up to the few quick questions
Okay.
that I don't know if you got a chance to see them. I sent them out to you too late, though. The
I
only
saw a
ones,
few. Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
ones I do share, because I don't want to put you on the spot. So, person that influenced you most personally in your life.
Yeah, I'd probably say my dad. He was an entrepreneur. I didn't really know or understand that, I guess, growing up, but he was the business owner. He was great at sales. He just knew how to build the relationships and make things work. And he was always just like so much fun. Everybody loved him. So my dad, and he just really, he and my mom just believed in me so much and
Mm.
just, I don't know. They were very influential in different ways. So
Okay, same question. Someone you can point to that influenced you most in business, but one person.
Sarah Blakely, who
Oh,
was the
okay.
owner of Spanx, yeah,
Yep.
and now she has Sneaks. Because she's so open and raw and honest, and she talks about her journey, and I love it. Like where she came from, and just even how her and Jesse, her husband, operate
Yep.
now. And the fact that she's like, there are some days when I'm like at the house and the doorbell rings and it's somebody to take her to the airport and she's like completely forgotten that she's supposed to be at the airport, right? And she's I don't have any kids, but like her like, just raising these kids and just how she wants to give back. I don't know, everything about who she is and what she does and she is so fully herself. I am on board for. So Sarah Blakely, yeah.
Yeah. I was.
And the fact I would say that my favorite thing maybe is that I know who she is. If I saw her at the airport, I would freak out. 99% of the people at the airport would not know who she is. That's what I love about her. She's a
Yeah.
billionaire. Like she's been on Shark Tank. Everybody, like if you know who she is, she's a big deal. But if you wear Spanx, you could be wearing Spanx and she's right next to you and you would have no idea kind of
I'm
thing.
wearing
Yeah.
them right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Uh, it was
So
actually
funny.
maybe I don't know, 10, 15, maybe. I was actually in a retreat, and Jesse was there, so I was hanging out with
Oh,
him. I was
cool.
there. I didn't know. So he was incredibly cool, down to earth, fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was married to Sarah until he mentioned it at the end, and he said Spanx, and I said I think I know what that is. But he was
Yeah.
great. Okay. One thing. So you lived an interesting life.
Mhm.
Why, looking back, can you point to one thing you can maybe label as a mistake, something that impacted you and how you learned from it?
Oh, there's a lot. I think one mistake that I made is that I didn't believe in myself sooner. I didn't bet on myself sooner. I allowed the people pleasing and the perfectionism and the I need everybody to like me. My number five strength is woo on the strength finders. So I let that dictate most of my life. And the mistake I made was not tapping into my to who I am sooner. And yet I don't know if I would be where I am had I tapped into it sooner. So it's a mistake. And at the same time, I'm glad that I was able to see where I was and where I am now because that Sarah are the people that I can help.
Hmm. Okay, so people are watching us, people listening, they're business owners, they are lots of marketing, growth marketers. Uh, some are happy doing what they do. Many of them are not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, without really going into your, I mean, chasing happiness is a complicated thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not a switch. Um, but what would be one advice you would give to anyone watching us who some of what we said sort of resonated, but we tend to run away from things that make us uncomfortable, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
amygdala, it's the fight or flight
Mm-hmm.
old brain that gets us to, I'm not going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
We're good making excuses. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us one thing we can do that's simple, that doesn't require life change, that can maybe set us on the right track when things don't go right. I know it's a loaded
Well,
question.
it is. And I think I want to answer it in this way because you said we're all chasing happiness. Stop chasing happiness.
That's it. That's
Start.
it. Don't
Yeah.
say more.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
Okay.
perfect.
Done.
It's perfect. You're right. Who said you have to be happy all the time?
Mm-hmm. No
Where's the
one.
manual? Where's the manual?
Yeah.
Show it to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Show it to me. It's not in the Bible. Not that I'm an
No.
expert in the Bible, but it's not there.
It's not
Uh,
anywhere.
and entrepreneurship or business ownership, to me, I always say it's just like it's like parenthood, right? There's no licensing exam. There's no certification you need to be a parent or business owner, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
start a
Mm-hmm.
business and there you are. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, things going to happen. It's just how it's really, I guess, accepting what we're dealt with to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and then deciding that, like you said, where is it? You choose how you dot dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
That choice is your ability to control your life
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Yes, if you have a terminal disease, and is it up to you? Well, there are a lot of people who are going to tell you yes, because how your brain deals with the disease internally, and you don't give up, does have scientific evidence that it does improve it. But yeah, you're dependent on the medical professional if, God forbid, you have a terminal disease or something's wrong with you. But other than that, when it comes to daily stuff, um, like you said, you choose how you dot
Mm-hmm.
dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
And um, so, Sarah, I didn't want this to be. I watched every appearance you've had on podcasts. I listened to the audios. I didn't want to regurgitate the stuff you do, because everybody can go to your website or LinkedIn, and they'll get the dose of what you do way better than me asking you to repeat it. I wanted people to
Mm-hmm.
get to know you. I want my tribe of subscribers and listeners to really see and hear and get to know the person behind what you represent. And I think we did it. You're
Awesome.
wonderful. You're wonderful. And keep smiling. And I'll keep watching your Happy Monday, Happy Tuesday, Happy Wednesday, and it's joyful Friday, whatever stuff you do. Um, and thank you again. And it's everybody wants to find you. They go to the Sarah Schroeder business coaching.com. I forgot. Just you could say
Sarah Schroeder, businesscoach.com. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sarah Schroeder. Don't attempt to. Well, you could see her name right on. So it's a
Okay.
SCH. Right. That's fine. All
No,
right.
yeah, no H in my name. But yeah, thank you so much. This was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Samuel, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.